Welcome in everyone. Today I'll be showing you how to get the 12 sacred tears in Elden Ring. Now we're starting with the side of Limgrave, which has 3 different ones, and the first one we're going to look at is the one located at the Callu Baptismal Church. It's located in a forest area, and we're using the Castle Mort Rampart as a guide. Instead of going through the wall there, run alongside it until you find the Ailing Village. This is a frenzy-inflicted place. Enemies and rats will proc madness on you. Make sure you run until you find the church-like structure, and the sacred tier is just near one of the big rats here. Now the second sacred tier can be found at the top of this peninsula, and there is an easy access. As you can see, there is a clear path from Castle Mort Rampart again. Instead of going alongside the wall, if you look closely here, there is a path as well in here. You'll go through a small pond and then through a bridge, and as soon as you go through the bridge, it's pretty much a straightforward path. You will run up and you will end up at the Church of Pilgrimage, and your second sacred tier will be waiting for you at the statue as usual. The next sacred tier, still in Limgrave, the south part, can be found at the 4th Church of Marika. From the Church of Pilgrimage, it's pretty much an easy path there. As you exit the Church of Pilgrimage, if you keep to your right and you keep going down, you will go and eventually find the Tomsword Ruins. And after that, there's an Everjail, and you will find the 4th Church of Marika without any problems. It's pretty close to the previous one, and you should have almost no problems in finding this one. As usual, the sacred tier is near the statue. The next sacred tier can still be found in Limgrave, but in this case is located just nearby the border between Limgrave and Caelid. There's an easy pathing from the initial bonfires. We're starting from the Mistwood outskirts here, and once you get to this site of grace, you'll see a structure, some kind of a breach structure here. You can either go below or above it, and the 3rd church is just at the end of it. There's a teleporter here that can help you to get the Caelid one later on, but yeah, the sacred tier is just nearby the statue. The next sacred tier is located at the Church of Plague in the Caelid zone. Now if you use the teleporter and you ended up at Bestial Sanctum, you can go all the way down until you reach Fort Ferreth. From Fort Ferreth, basically what you want to do is you want to hop on to the other side of this firewall, and at the end of, if you keep going down and you keep to your left, you will see a horse jumping site. You can drop down there and you'll see the church just at the end. Nothing too dangerous here, and as usual, the sacred tier is nearby the statue. Now this next sacred tier can be found at the Liurnia zone. It's the very beginning of that area. It's located at the Church of Irith, and you have the lake facing cliffs as the closest site of grace. You can get here by either defeating Godric, or if you want to skip it, you can go across this bridge that I'm showing you here and all the way around until you get to the very same site of grace. Now from here, it's a pretty straightforward path. You can see the church from the site of grace, and inside you will find the sacred tier available in this zone. The next sacred tier is located still in the Liurnia zone, and we're going to use the Ravine site of grace as a guide. You will go from this narrow path all the way until you reach Bellum Church, just before the Grand Lift of Dectus. From the ravine side of Grace, as you can see, that's the main lake. As soon as you get into this narrow alley, make sure you go all the way until the very end, or until you see a hill on your right. Turn up on that hill and go all the way until the top. You'll get past the merchant, and then you will get into the Bellum Church through a broken wall. The sacred tier is just behind you, as usual, as all sacred tiers near the statue here. Now, the last sacred tier in the Liurnia zone can be the trickiest one. It is located at the Church of Inhibition, and from Bellum Church, we want to make sure that instead of going to the Dectus lift, we want to make sure that we keep a right at all times. So you'll see here that instead of going the main way that would lead us to the Grand Left or to the Grand Lift of Dectus, we will keep a right, and there's a hidden path up here. Make sure you keep your right or to your right at all times, as there is a tower that builds madness, and you'll die if the meter goes full. Keep to your right at all times until you reach the Frenzied Flame village, and once you reach this village, you want to circle around it, and when you get here, you can see the tower up there. It's still dangerous, so the madness can still proc on you, so you want to be careful here. And now what you want to do is, instead of staying to your right, you want to make sure that as soon as you see the church structure, you want to keep or stay to your left. If you did not kill the enemies at the tower, obviously, if you did it, you don't need to worry about it. But if you didn't, stay to your left to avoid building madness. You'll be invaded here, but you can pretty much avoid the invasion and make a run to the church. The invader is kind of fast, but you should be faster than him and be able to grab this sacred tier. Moving on to the Altus Plateau zone, the first sacred tier we're going to collect is at the second Church of Marika. We're starting from the Altus Highway Junction, and from here on it's pretty much a straightforward path. You want to make sure that you follow this small entrance in here. You'll get past an enemy, and once you are here, it's pretty much a straightforward path as well. You'll see there's some kind of graveyard here, and the church will be below you. There's nothing too fancy about this one. It's a church. It's pretty much empty. There are no enemies or anything, and the sacred tier should be in here. Now, the second sacred tier at the Altus Plateau is a little bit trickier. You need to get the outer wall battleground side of Grace, and you need to circle around the walls there until you actually get to the Stormcaller Church. You will get to the Rampart side path side of Grace, and once you get to this side of Grace, you'll notice some lightning. So this is an easy way to tell if you're close. You'll notice some lightning, which you can get hit by the way, so be careful about that. There's a structure, a main structure there. You want to take a detour, a small one, and you'll see you'll reach the church structure here. And this is also an easy location for a sacred tier, no enemies or anything. And you should find the sacred tier at the end of the church. Now, this is the first of two sacred tiers that you will find at the Mountaintops of the Giants. You will need to go through the frozen lake until you get to the first Church of Marika. And in order to get this, the closest site of Grace, if you are going here for the first time, is the freezing lake. There's a giant telescope icon on the map. Now, keep in mind that if it is your first time in here, the lake will not look exactly like this, obviously. There is an enemy, a dragon here, so if you have not defeated the dragon in this place, the lake will actually have a giant nebula around it, so you will not be able to see it clearly, but you should still be able to make it past the lake without any major trouble. Just make sure you avoid the dragon in here, and once you are at the church, you're free to pick up the sacred tier as you usually do with the other places. The last sacred tier can be collected just after the previous one. From the first Church of Marika, make sure you use the horse jumping spot to find an Everjail and then a Site of Grace. You'll then have to cross a chain bridge to get to the other side of the valley. As you can see to your right, that is the chain bridge you want to cross to get you to this site. Now, this is very close to the Fire Giants arena. From here on, you do not have to fight any enemies to get to the Church of Repose. Unless you want to fight, obviously, the invader that will appear near the church itself. You'll get the Rivers of Blood katana if you want to. If not, you can just make a run for the sacred tier. You can fight it inside the church structure as always, and you'll have the final sacred tier, the one missing to the puzzle. Now, to use your sacred tiers, you need a Site of Grace. You need to go to the flasks menu and choose the option to increase the amount replenished. Now do this until you get a plus 12 flask. You'll get a message saying you've reached the maximum when that's the case. If this video helped you, make sure you leave it a like, hit the subscribe button, feel free to follow me on Twitch, and I'll see you on the next one.